1947, a transmission came from beneath the ice. Clear, deliberate, and uninvited. In December 1947, a Soviet polar radio detachment established a temporary listening post near the Vostok Massif, a high white desert where the wind shaved the ice like a whetstone. Official papers called it an ionospheric survey. Off the record, Moscow had asked for confirmation of a faint, repeating tone logged by distant trawlers and by a Black Sea observatory. A 91-second pulse that rose from coordinates no ship or station could possibly occupy. Engineer Sergei Kalinin wrote in a battered notebook that the world sometimes spoke in numbers before it dared try words. Each night, the team tuned their shortwave rigs while paraffin stoves coughed blue fumes. A green aurora curled over the plateau. The antennas whistled. Steel guy lines chimed when the wind flexed them like bowstrings. Men in frost-stiff parkas leaned close to the warm varnish of the radio chassis and the slow wink of dial bulbs. On the 19th night, the pulse arrived, so clean that even the men outside felt it through their boots, an almost tactile rhythm, measured and patient. It cut through blizzard static, held steady for 1 minute and 31 seconds, and ceased mid-breath, as if obeying a forgotten metronome. They tested every ordinary explanation. Generator hum. The timing did not match. Auroral chorus. The spectrum disagreed. Icequakes. Seismograph needles slept when Kalinin overlaid traces from 3 separate antennas. The crests landed in perfect lockstep. Nature liked symmetry, yes, but she did not keep time like a clock. The cook, a practical man who believed in knives and boilers, suggested the expedition was picking up a faraway beacon bent by strange air. Kalinin shook his head and pointed at their map. The strongest reception lay directly under their boots. Moreover, the second appearance came weaker, as though the source had sunk deeper or grown shy. The men unreeled copper wire across the snow, planted iron stakes, and fed contact microphones into narrow sastrugi. What returned was not an airborne wave, but a bone conduction murmur climbing straight through the ice sheet. The spectrograph showed a forest of harmonic peaks whose spacing resembled naval sonar pings, only slowed and stretched by unimaginable mass. The paper fed from the machine in pale curls that crackled in the dry cold, each curl a pale fern of proof. A technician named Molchanov claimed he heard syllables braided into the tone, breaths between consonants, a vowel dragged like a sled. No tape captured words, yet the suggestion alone altered the camp. Men whispered at the stove, cupping mugs, glancing at the crevasse line as if it were a curtain that might lift. Even the dogs listened, ears pricked toward the center of the world. The pulse made tin cups ring, and once set a snow saw, buzzing silently against the floorboards, as if the hut itself hummed. On December 28th, the barometer fell without wind. The generator's lamp dimmed to ember and revived. When Kalinin rotated the fine tuner, a new pattern rode in atop the pulse. 12-hour spacing, as regular as tides, superimposed on the 91-second heart. He marked the interval on the log and sketched a crude compass rose around their own coordinates. The implication humiliated every ordinary instrument. If the source announced a grid, the origin and the receiver were co-located. Somewhere below the plateau, beneath miles of compressed snowfall turned to glass, the world was speaking to its own ceiling. Beneath miles of compressed snowfall, air turns into pages and pressure writes on them. That was how Kalinin explained it to himself when doubt clawed at his throat. He recalibrated, rechecked cable lengths, swapped crystals, logged ambient noise, and still the cadence returned like a tide under the floor. Late that night, he stepped outside and listened without headphones. The sky was a low green river. Somewhere below, a second river moved, unseen, speaking in measures older than the camp and perhaps older than human listening. They drilled for seismic sensors and raised a core that did not behave like ordinary ice. In lamplight, the cylinder gleamed almost black, as if midnight had percolated through the lattice. Bubbles glittered within like tiny trapped moons. Rimming the core were filaments of oxidized iron, not scattered, but coaxed into a slow spiral, each turn separated by a constant interval measurable with a compass point. Kalinin labeled it Sample 17A, and Cypher radioed a requisition to ship it north. The answer from Leningrad came curt and delayed. Hold the sample in place and await further orders. Orders arrived late to a place where time lost traction. The 91-second pulse returned with a modulation that sketched numbers when plotted on millimeter paper, figures resolving into their own latitude and elevation. The lake, a word no one dared write, became unavoidable. Kalinin's final note that evening read, "Not beneath us like a floor, beneath us like a mirror." At midnight, the generator coughed, died, then sulked back to life. While the men hammered warmth back into fuel lines, the ice core sweated a thin mist and rang, no louder than a finger on crystal. The tone matched the root frequency of the pulse, a sympathetic resonance that set molars aching. One man crossed himself, another smiled, certain now they were in dialogue and that it had learned to speak indoors. Kalinin tested the cylinder. He laid a compass against the ice, expecting mischief from iron filings. The needle trembled, settled, and began to precess slowly as if tracking a star. He moved the compass twice. The precession repeated. The core behaved like a recorded field, a spool wound with magnetism remembering absent hands. A watch brushed the surface. Seconds stuttered and lost count. They argued about contamination, accidental induction, pranks. No one confessed. The black sheen drank lantern light. Kalinin thought of deep water, of a surface seen from below. He wrote a line and crossed it out. We brought up a piece of night. By dawn, frost ferns curled in the spiral's direction, echoing instructions embedded in ice. On January 14th, 3 men walked a short patrol to check the wire line and did not return. Their footprints led away from the tents at a brisk, ordinary pace and ended at a fissure no wider than a suitcase, a crack incapable of swallowing a human body without leaving scrapes. Kalinin knelt, lowered a field microphone, and listened to breath from the earth. The tape captured a faint click series riding beneath the steady tone. When translated into crude binary, the interval spelled a single imperative: open. Dream weather took the camp. Diaries blurred barometric readings with submerged corridors and glassy vaults where lamps glowed under ceilings of ice. The missing men appeared at the tent flaps in dreams and did not speak. Kalinin sketched concentric rings beneath a lake's dark plain, one ring broken as if something had surfaced once and sealed itself again. They rigged a tripod over the crack and lowered a carbide lamp on a rope. Darkness accepted it without change, as if light were eaten rather than spent. The microphone line trembled now and then like fishing wire. When he raised the lamp again, the glass was beaded with droplets that refused to freeze. He touched one. It ran like mercury and vanished. The directive open stared from Molchanov's sheet. Open what? Men proposed blasting powder and then recoiled, unwilling to strike matches underground. Instead, they assembled patience, more wire, more recordings, a little flag to mark the boundary. Each hour, the pulse returned as if to take attendance. Each hour, the clicks stitched across it. Night fell like a lid. The pulse came late and strong, struck the mast, and made the guy wires sing. From the fissure rose a draft that smelled of iron and wet stone, as if a cavern exhaled. "We are above the mirror," Kalinin wrote, then crossed the sentence out until the paper scuffed gray. The lamp guttered once. From far below came the soft metallic sound of something sliding into place. Soviet command received a final burst in early February. Static, a scraping breath, then 6 words in a voice so thin it could have been wind on the wire. Signal received. Water is awake now. Rescue sledges found the camp 10 days later. The radios lay torn open and neatly arranged as if for autopsy. One tent had exploded outward, the canvas frozen into a star of fabric. Food was stacked, boots paired, clocks wound, all the busy order of departure without travelers. Beneath the central mast, the snow had vitrified into a black glass oval. In the transmitter hut, a cylinder of ice sat on a crate like an offering. Lamplight revealed within a pale shape unmistakable to any mammal. A hand, 5 digits open, reaching. The hand could have been a trick of fracture. It could have been pareidolia. It could have been a glove left in a mold and frozen hard as quartz. Photographs were taken, and the cylinder vanished into the cargo list under innocuous code. Kalinin's name disappeared from summaries. The photographs acquired numbers and then restrictions. The official report invoked weather and exhaustion and the poor judgment of men isolated too long. Unofficial notes traveled by pocket, that the black glass sang when boots struck it, that the hand in ice shifted slightly between exposures, that the missing 3 had not fallen but had been asked to step forward. A colonel folded the journal's last page and wrote Archive 9 across the cover. He was a cautious man. He kept a daughter's ribbon as a bookmark. Decades later, the ribbon still smelled faintly of camphor. Kalanin's final marginalia said only, the voice was remembering, not calling. A strange mercy, perhaps, that below the plateau lay not a predator or a saint, but a recorder with a pulse. An engine of repetition practicing a message until someone agreed that it was language. The crate left the ice on a cargo plane whose cabin lights flickered exactly once. The flight manifest listed equipment, fuel drums, and one sealed specimen requiring darkness. Above the clouds, the aircraft droned like a long note. The crate slept in state archives while decades turned. In 1996, when Western teams drilled toward the lake whose existence cartographers had finally conceded, their sonar logs acquired a familiar interference. A low oscillation soldered with harmonics spaced like teeth on a comb. Cross-correlation with a surviving Soviet spectrogram produced an impolite result. The waveforms matched to within human scribal error. Nothing in a sealed world should keep the same rhythm for half a century, unless that world practiced it. In 2012, magnetometers pitched little fits as rigs passed over certain coordinates. Spikes rose like fish at dusk. The published papers blamed instrument drift and brave mathematics. Unpublished rumors said otherwise, that a cavity had opened late in 1947, that a signal rose through it, and that an outpost heard. A junior researcher, staring at a monitor glow at 3 in the morning, typed a line and deleted it. It's still sending. He saved the plot under a boring file name and went outside to hear the wind. By then, the 17A core had been misplaced twice and recovered once from a mislabeled freezer in a veterinary institute. Someone tried to drill a sliver from its edge and ruined a bit. The spiral remained. The compass precessed. A watch stuttered and was retired to a drawer. When photographed under polarized light, the black ice produced a weak cross, a birefringent ghost like a sign seen through fog. The catalog card acquired fingerprints, smudges, and finally a typed warning. Handle with non-magnetic tools. What to do with such artifacts? Museums prefer stories that end. Lakes prefer continuations. The archive clerk who signed the box outward the last time noted a hum in the floor he blamed on the elevator. There was no elevator. He kept the detail to himself, as men keep small miracles in unremarkable cities. Outside the building, buses sighed and departed. Wires sang in winter air. Someone's radio, badly tuned, lifted a faint 91-second thread and lowered it again, as if conjugating an old verb. Lake Vostok remains corked beneath roughly 3,700 meters of ice, a dark inland ocean that may not have tasted air for millions of years. Official statements deny any continuous emission. Unofficially, shortwave hobbyists in the southern hemisphere trade recordings labeled JAN 28HUM. Twice a year, the band at 4.3 megahertz grows woolly. Then a narrow spike barks for 3 seconds, 91 beats counted by trembling fingers. The date aligns obscenely with Kalinин's disappearance. Explanation is a generous animal. Geophysicists invoke stick-slip quakes, ferromagnetic domains, piezoelectric fracture. Skeptics describe hoaxes that accumulated legend. Believers talk about patience down in the dark, about machines that forgot their makers, about organs that learned to sing. VaultWhisper prefers another word, shaped by journals and the way ice remembers pressure: echo. An echo is not the original sound, yet it is faithful to its shape. Something beneath the plateau learned a shape and kept it at certain amateur stations when midnight static thins over Antarctica. Operators swear they feel the hum more than hear it, a pressure under the ribs where recognition and fear share a room. They lean closer, dial the gain down, and let the noise floor undulate like breath. A few keep metronomes beside the rigs and watch the pendulum lock with the unseen beat. 9 1 seconds. Pause. Silence like held breath. then nothing, which sometimes feels like everything. So we listen and refuse conclusions. A lake may be practicing its breath. A memory may be repeating itself. A transmitter may be replaying a program taught by snow and time. Or perhaps a human camp, once struck clean from the map, impressed its rhythm into the sheet, and the sheet, faithful archivist, plays it back on anniversaries. Whatever the source, it keeps time nobody taught it. And that is the part that reaches us, a pulse tapping against the glass of the world and asking if we remember the word open. We count, we breathe, we wait with the radios warm, and the snow holds its breath with us.